They will not work on roti, kapda, makan, electricity, development, colleges, medical institutes, but they will fight over 370.
A government elected by the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We need to get 370 and 35A back.
I am not a fool to think that Article 370 will return, and that too I will ask the BJP government to return 370. That's not going to happen.
This man will sing a Ram Bhajan. This man will say Bharat Mata Ki Jai. When he's in the cabinet, when he's not in the cabinet, suddenly he'll say that झंडा उठाने वाला कोई नहीं होगा, कंधा देने वाला, talk to Pakistan, it's a nuclear country.
Used to raise flag and shut down schools and colleges. Lal Chowk बंद कर देते थे. There used to be stone pelting. There was no reaction. That if you have committed a crime, there will be a reaction immediately. You'll be arrested and the law of the land will prevail.
What has happened in Pakistan that they've stopped, quote unquote, caring about? Do they still care about Kashmir, or they've given up?
That Pakistan, the first thing they did was try to provoke the Muslim countries across the globe to speak against India. They said it's an internal matter of India. We have good trade ties with India. Why would we compromise?
What do you see going forward? The involvement of the Chinese in Pakistan.
Visa on arrival in Pakistan for the Chinese has turned into suicide bomber on arrival.
Hello friends, welcome to Gap, the Gaurav Arya Podcast, and today I have a very special guest. We have Aditya Raj Kaul. You've seen him on television, you've seen him on social media. He's a writer, he's a speaker, he's a Kashmiri activist. He watches Pakistan and Afghanistan very closely, an expert on geopolitics and foreign affairs and of course, national security. Aditya, very warm welcome to our show.
Thank you, Gaurav. It's always great to be with you, not only because, you have served in the Indian Army and you're a nationalist, but also over the last few years, you've been a journalist of kind. You've been raising issues of concern for the society and the country, and my hats off to you.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you. Aditya, you see what is happening in the Kashmir Assembly. There is absolute chaos. Now, Article 370 and 35A were removed from the Constitution of India. Democratically so. And every political party in Kashmir, except for the one that is in power, subtly so, but otherwise other people very openly saying that now that you have a government elected by the people of Jammu and Kashmir, we need to get 370 and 35A back. Now, there is this massive disinformation happening in Kashmir, and many people don't even know. They just think that because you have a government, you can get it back. You can't get it back. But why are the politicians insisting on this? What do they hope to achieve here?
Gaurav, Article 370 is done and dusted. Article 370 is in the dustbin of history. You know it, I know it, I think people of India know it.
Yes.
It is the Parliament of India, it is the people of India, it is the Modi government, and finally it is the judiciary, the Supreme Court of India, that have completely ensured that no matter which government comes in power, no matter who is in power, no matter which ideology rules the country or Jammu and Kashmir, Article 370 and 35A have no chance of returning in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. I think this should have happened decades ago, but finally Modi government, I think, ensured it on 5th August 2019, and it wasn't easy. If somebody would have asked me, and somebody did from the government a few months before Article 370 was nullified, that what do you think about 370 and 35A? And at that time I answered that, kaise karenge? Political might chahiye, political will chahiye.
Absolutely.
But they ensured it. But the question right now is that why are the regional political parties and leaders in Jammu and Kashmir trying to fool the Kashmiris time and again? We often say that Kashmiris are bright, Kashmiris are smart, Kashmiris know how to be with each and every person and ensure that they get the larger chunk of the pie always. But Kashmiris will have to choose their destiny. Either they get fooled time and again by National Conference, PDP, by Muftis and Abdullahs of the world, by Sajjad Lone or Engineer Rasheeds of the world, or they choose a destiny which leads them to development, employment opportunities, success in each and every field that India has shined in over the years. The question really is that why isn't the assembly functioning? It's the very first session, Gaurav. And from the day one, it's been over a few days. And there are protests happening. There is a scuffle happening. This poster that Sajjad and Engineer Rashid's brother and others tried to put out and BJP tried to snatch it. What are they trying to convey to the people? They will not work on roti, kapda, makan, electricity, development, colleges, medical institutes, but they will fight over 370 while knowing very well that 370 has no chance of returning. Even Omar Abdulla, and kudos to him, from the day he won the elections, he's been giving positive statements. He's been saying that I'm not a fool to think that Article 370 will return, and that too I will ask the BJP government to return 370. That's not going to happen. Of course, statehood is something that we want, and Home Minister Amit Shah has ensured that and assured in the Parliament of India that statehood will be returned, and eventually that will happen.
That will happen.
But a special status is out of question. Jammu and Kashmir has suffered immensely because of this hurdle, because of this so-called bridge of 370. I think it will take decades, if not more, to ensure complete peace, to ensure equality, to ensure this mindset and radicalism ends in the Kashmir.
I think at least a generation or two.
Yes.
Because a new generation will, they will see a new post 370-35A Kashmir, which is going to be different and which is already different now. About Farooq Abdulla. Farooq Abdulla says something when he's in power and something when he's out of power, which most politicians do. But this flip is most visible in Abdulla Sahab. This man will sing a Ram Bhajan. This man will say Bharat Mata Ki Jai. When he's in the cabinet, when he's not in the cabinet, suddenly he'll say that Jhanda uthane wala koi nahi hoga, kandha dene wala, talk to Pakistan, it's a nuclear country. He'll also say that, the stone pelters are basically fighting for Azadi. And then again his son becomes chief minister and Farooq Saab does a backflip again. Your comments on Farooq Abdulla?
Gaurav, you're wrong. You say कि सरकार में वो रहते हैं, he stays in government, he's different.
Yeah.
And when he's in the opposition, he's different.
Yeah.
Nahi. There's a popular joke in Jammu and Kashmir that in the morning when Farooq Abdulla is in the Kashmir Valley, his tone is different. When he lands in Jammu, his tone in the afternoon turns and is very different, suitable to the climate in Jammu. In the evening when he reaches Delhi, it is again very different from what he said in Kashmir and Jammu. So he changes colors. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows of his photographs in perhaps 60s and 70s with JKLF in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Everybody knows in 1990 when the Kashmiri Hindu exodus took place, when the genocide and ethnic cleansing took place. What was Farooq Abdulla doing? He resigned and he went to play golf with his wife and other friends in London. When a minority community is being persecuted, killed, and you are doing nothing about it. And now again, you rightly pointed out that just before 370, he said that, you change my name, मेरा नाम बदल देना, अगर 370 आप कर पाओ, देखते हैं कैसे करते हैं. Why? 370 भी हुआ, 370 was nullified. It's been more than 5 years now. And if you actually empirically study the statistics of these 5 years with the previous 5 years, you will realize that terrorism has come down, your infiltration has come down, your recruitment, particularly in South Kashmir, has come down.
Stone pelting is gone.
Gone. I mean, completely gone. Where is this ringleaders of stone pelting? Nawhata, jo aapko pata hai, Gaurav. It used to be the, kingpin center of stone pelting. Yes. Every Friday, after the Friday prayers, Jama Masjid के बाहर, वहाँ पर CRPF की गाड़ियों की हालत खराब कर देते. अभी भी जो रक्षक चलती है, कभी कभी आपको वो दिखेगी कि मतलब हालत खराब, ऐसा लगता है कि मतलब AK-47 और गोलियों से उनको जैसे बूंद दिया हो बुरी तरीके से,
छल्ली कर दिया हो पूरा. हाँ, बिल्कुल, आई एग्री.
और वही जगह है, मुझे अभी याद आ रहा है, 2017 या 18 की घटना है, when a very brave heart officer of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Mohammad Ayub Pandit, was lynched outside Jamia Masjid. अब होता है क्या? अब वो हालत उनकी खराब हो जाएगी, पतली हो जाएगी. There was a protest last year when Yasin Malik was convicted to life sentence. And I'm glad it happened after 30 years. There were a group of youth from JKLF and, the radicals in Maisuma, Lal Chowk ke paas.
Bilkul.
They started protesting. And I casually asked somebody in the, police that, how are you allowing this to happen? They said, don't worry, the law of the land will prevail. That's about it. Next day morning, I woke up. I realized that that bunch of 10-15 people were arrested. There was UAPA slapped against them. और उनको आगरा शिफ्ट कर दिया. And they were kept there. This is the message of the might of the government of India, that we believe in democracy. We will ensure democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. But once you question the constitution of the country, once you question the parliament of the country, once you question the sovereignty of the country,
then there are consequences.
Will be consequences.
Yes, absolutely.
These consequences were missing, Gaurav, for the last 30 years.
Correct.
Every time Yasin Malik, Mirwais, Gilani, Shabbir Shah, Asya Andrabi and others used to raise flag and shut down schools and colleges, Lal Chowk band kar dete the, there used to be stone pelting, there was no reaction. The only reaction that happened perhaps when Omar Abdulla last was chief minister, I think around 2010, was that 110 innocents died because of Tufail Mattu and others, because of the clashes, because of the governance, mismanagement, and the biggest concern that law and order was with the chief minister. The law and order has to be with the center. The army, the police, the CRPF need to have a free hand. And the biggest of all is the consequences. That until you set a precedent that if you have committed a crime, there will be a reaction immediately, you'll be arrested and the law of the land will prevail. Until that doesn't happen, how will things change? It will be the same vicious circle again and again.
Yes, absolutely. Aditya, now, another one of your favorite topics, which is Pakistan. Pakistan, Kashmir hamari shahrag hai, is the jugular vein, and that is what Jinnah said. And their entire foreign policy and their national security policy revolves ceaselessly around Kashmir. Ghumta rehta. It's like a parikrama happening.
Yeah.
Suddenly what is happening is they do mention Kashmir now and then. Whenever they go to any platform like the United Nations or wherever they get a platform, they will speak about Kashmir. But the overall conversation in Pakistani media and social media about Kashmir has gone down significantly, and I would say almost 70-80% it's not there any longer. What has happened in Pakistan that they've stopped, quote unquote, caring about? Do they still care about Kashmir, or they've given up?
Kashmir shahrag hai ki nahi Pakistan mein, ye to mujhe nahi pata. But yes, the single agenda point of their foreign policy, of their so-called national security doctrine or others is Kashmir. They don't care about the prosperity of their people.
Correct.
They don't care about the rise of the youth of Pakistan to achieve something globally. They say that Kashmir will be the only subject which we will debate on, that the army generals will use time and again to get more funding, money, etc. And we know that funding is not used to protect Pakistan. It used to,
and enrich their generals.
Enrich their generals. It's like a corporation, corporate house.
Yes.
So, one thing is very clear, Gaurav, that ever since the abrogation or the nullification of Article 370 and 35A, the propaganda and narrative or the so-called influence operations of Pakistan have completely failed. You see what happened after 370. Our diplomats were prepared. Our politicians were also prepared. We had almost a consensus in the political, stream. We also saw that Pakistan, the first thing they did was try to provoke the Muslim countries across the globe to speak against India. They went to OIC. They went to countries like Saudi, UAE, Malaysia, Turkey, etc. But after a certain point, these countries gave up. They said it's an internal matter of India. We have good trade ties with India. Why would we compromise? I mean, Saudi and UAE realized the potential of investing in India. And instead of having bilateral ties with Pakistan, even if Imran Khan or others choose to be the driver of their prince, etc., to ferry them from the airport.
Yeah, he took MBS, no?
Very funny.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now what Pakistan is trying to do is deflect attention by again trying to provoke some kind of terror attacks both in Jammu and Kashmir, and at the same time do certain events across the globe to internationalize Kashmir, which they have done. It's the same old playbook, but they are not as successful as they used to be. What we have seen, another thing, is that Pakistan has become the non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. 1st January is when that begins. So for the next 2 years, we will see this propaganda happening time and again at the UNSC as well, where China and Pakistan come together, try to veto something, try to bring in Kashmir, try to bring in some propaganda or narrative against Modi government, Amit Shah and others. This I can predict very well. Another thing, they are trying to infiltrate into universities and other places to propagate Kashmir again, which has been a failure over the years.
Absolutely.
You know what happened over the last 1 year, Gaurav? In US universities, the so-called, the elite universities of US, you saw this kind of intifada, pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas protests,
yes, of course.
Encampments happening
Yes.
against Israel completely,
Yes.
in a very, anti-Jewish manner.
Correct.
And what Pakistan is trying to do now is that build on that discourse of Kashmir in favor of Pakistan. So I can tell you today is that November 14th, I was invited by Oxford Union, as were you. And the entire event, I was invited in July by the president of Oxford. And I saw it and I realized that the president is from Pakistan. And even though, he's from Pakistan, I immediately accepted. And I said, okay, in a democratic fashion, I'm ready to debate with a Pakistani. And that's completely okay. I believe in a very democratic discourse. Things can be different, ideology can be different, your perspectives can be different. And I, being a Kashmiri, and that too a victim of terrorism, and then being in media over the years, have the more, not just authentic voice, but voice of reason. And I can tell you, because I go
also
to Kashmir
personal
often.
Personal experience. That's very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I accepted. And I kept asking the organizers, who are the other panelists, who are the other debaters? I'm not afraid of anyone, but at least it will be good to know. And there was no response. There was stony silence completely.
Yeah, they won't respond to emails also.
They won't respond.
Yeah, it'll be a month, they won't respond. Yeah.
And then
Oxford
I,
does that.
being a journalist and that too an investigative journalist, I
found
reached
out
out to my friends
Yeah.
in Oxford, in UK, Hindus, Muslims, Christians. And all of them helped. And they told me that, there seems to be something fishy. They are not revealing details. But we have found out that the Pakistani Defense Minister, Khwaja Asif, is coming. The Labour MP, who is vociferously anti-India, I think Nush Shah or Naz Shah, she's there. And you have somebody called Muzammil Ayub Thakur. Now, I don't have a problem with the Pakistani Defense Minister. I don't have a problem with even the UK politicians against India. I can tackle them very well.
Yes.
And I can expose their agenda and their hate mindset. But when this person called Muzammil Ayub Thakur comes, he's a terror supporter. Not just a supporter. There's a UAPA case slapped against him in India. For years together, his so-called NGO based in UK has been funding groups in Kashmir for stone pelting, for law and order problems, for terrorism. How can I, as somebody who believes in the principles of democracy, in not terrorism, in a discourse, give legitimacy to a terrorist like Muzammil Ayub Thakur? And, that would be completely wrong and go against whatever the ideology of India as a democracy really is. We stand against terrorism. No questions asked. And as I said, Pakistani Defense Minister is okay. Anybody else is okay. But to debate with a terrorist or a terror supporter or a terror apologist, we can't do that. So I immediately send them an email thanking them and saying that, Jammu and Kashmir is the philosophical head of India. It's been there for 5,000 years. Your discourse, your propaganda, your hate mindset, your communal hate is not going to change that. You have a debate. You have this kind of a echo chamber that you want, or internationalize ISI propaganda. Maybe you are being paid for that, but thank you. I will not be there.
But you know what? If there was no terrorist there, if this Ayub Thakur guy was not there, and if it was just, Khwaja Asif and the other British politician, both of us would have gone together, and it would have been, just that room closed, and left radical and radical Islamists and Pakistanis in one room. That would have been a story to tell future generations, huh?
Absolutely.
Hammering them upside down.
I'll be very honest. It's an honor to be invited by the Oxford Union.
Yes.
Not everybody gets invited. And many prominent personalities from all over the globe have gone there.
Yes.
And that's why, in spite of the provocative title of the debate, I said I'll go.
Yes.
Because I know my conscience is clear. I know the reality of terrorism in Kashmir. I know the agenda of Pakistan because I've done numerous stories exposing the Pakistani deep state. So I would have gone there, and as would have you.
Yes.
You've spoken to Pakistanis time and again on television and exposed them. Your clips have gone viral all across. So, Gaurav, I would have gone there and I would have debated. Even after Vivek Agnihotri, our friend, boycotted, I still felt that no, I'll go.
Same here. I said, Vivek Bhai said, no, I'll go. Mera bhi yahi tha. I'll also go.
It's completely okay.
Yeah.
But once this terrorist figure happened, I decided that this is certainly not going to happen.
Yes.
We can expose Pakistanis, sitting in our bedroom and, sipping a coffee. We don't need any research or data or a team of researchers to do anything. We have everything in our brain. We have experienced this time and again. You as an army officer and as a journalist and as a commentator on television, I as a Kashmiri and a journalist. So I think these theatrics, this propaganda is not going to work anymore. I also feel that Pakistani terrorism will continue. We need to be prepared to tackle it. I'm sure the army, the police, the national security apparatus is very much prepared. There are larger threats. There are larger threats, including China, that we need to be worried about.
Yeah, so coming to China now, there is significant Chinese presence in Balochistan, and there is significant Chinese presence in Karachi, and there is significant Chinese presence all over Pakistan, also in POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. Now the common thing is, when are we taking POK? When are we taking POK? When it happens, it happens. And I don't think it's going to be a military action. That is this thing. I think it's leading to some sort of disenchantment with the Pakistan story or the Pakistan experiment. And when this disillusionment reaches a certain peak, the people will revolt. They've already started revolting. Having said that, my question here is that it becomes very difficult for India to handle this when Pakistan is almost saying that, and Chinese have pretty much visa on arrival in Pakistan. So you can come, you can go anywhere. But people are hitting back. The Baloch are hitting back. And the Baloch have now very close strategic affinity with the Tehreek-e-Taliban, Pakistan. This is not to condone violence. You don't, I don't. But the fact of the matter is that the Baloch say that the Chinese are taking away our land, our mineral resources, our freedom, and the Pakistani army, with the blessings of the Pakistan army. The fishermen were on strike for a very long time because Chinese trawlers had taken away all the fish. What do you see going forward? The involvement of the Chinese in Pakistan. You know, because I'm asking this, Aditya, to you because CPAC has virtually stalled, and their Prime Minister keeps on saying CPAC 2, 2.0, etc., etc. But CPAC is not happening, is it?
You know, Gaurav, ever since CPEC was announced and that agreement happened, there was a visa on arrival for the Chinese. But now that visa on arrival in Pakistan for the Chinese has turned into suicide bomber on arrival. You know what is happening time and again, unfortunately, and my sympathies with the Chinese friends. You know, recently in Kazan, Mr. Modi and Xi Jinping met and, again decided to de-escalate and, have diplomatic ties. Great. We should do that. Talk should be there and there should be de-escalation at the military level, and that's happening already at 2 friction points. But to trust the Chinese blindly would be a mistake. I think 2019, 2020 for us was a lesson in many ways. In 2020 when Galwan happened, and of course I also raised questions with the government that why weren't we prepared? I mean, my kudos to the army, my salute to the army. Army is very much prepared, but always it needs political backing.
It's an all-of-government approach,
actually. It's an all-of-government approach. Yeah. I remember in 2012 or 2013 when I first time went to Ladakh to report for a television channel, I realized, I think it was areas like Demchok and Chomar, where we had friction at that time, eyeball to eyeball contact, that the then army chief and the NSA had reached out to the NSA and said that, sir, we are prepared. They are doing encampments in our territory. We are ready to do encampments in their territory. You give us a go-ahead. But the Prime Minister of that time, on the advice of the NSA, decided not to go there. These are army officers who have confessed in me, confide in me that this happened.
They have shared this with you that
yes,
we wanted to go, and this is 2012, 2011.
Exactly.
That time.
To make Chinese understand in their own language. But there was no go-ahead. What happened next? That these provocations, these eyeball-to-eyeball contacts, these intrusions continued to happen. We changed our policy many years later, and what also the army chief had realized at that time, that there's a considerable infrastructure development happening for years together on the Chinese side. We need to be prepared. But it was only in the last 10 to 12 years that we have picked up momentum. In fact, more so post-Galwan. I went to Siachen and thereafter to Eastern Ladakh all across recently to make multiple documentaries. And I saw that Ladakh has turned into Europe. I mean, the kind of connectivity projects that are there today are amazing, unthinkable. When 2012, when I was there, it took almost 8 to 9 hours for me to travel from Leh to, Chushul and other places Today you can reach in 3 to 4 hours, which is magic. And that too, witnessing what a climate, what a scenery. I mean, Ladakh cannot be compared with any other region in India or in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of progress that we have made. The BRO has done a fantastic job. Yeah. But we are still much, much behind the Chinese. I mean, they have done something 15 years back, 20 years back, and we are now realizing it and pushing in as much as possible.
So it was always deliberate from our side also.
Yeah.
Initially, that let's not build up infrastructure.
Yes.
That was also part of the...
There was a hesitation. Yeah.
Also true. Strategy.
So I believe that we can't take the Chinese lightly, especially the Chinese investments in Afghanistan with the Taliban and in Pakistan as well. The Chinese are on a spree where the Baloch Liberation Army and other groups are attacking them, the TTP are attacking them, and that will certainly continue because I have spoken to a lot of Baloch rebel groups, Baloch peaceniks and activists also, who see Chinese as a colonial force in Balochistan.
It is.
Yeah. So imagine there are road signs all across Balochistan, not written in the local languages but in Chinese. There are projects from Gwadar Port to gas pipelines in Sui and other places that are completely taken over by the Chinese. What the Baloch also believe is that most of the natural resources have been outsourced to the Chinese completely, and the natural resources have been taken away. These are, aboriginal Baloch natural resources. The first right is with the Baloch, and if that is taken away, of course they will fight back. So I believe in the last 3 years in particular, the Baloch rebellion has picked up like never before. You're not just witnessing suicide bombings. Imagine who is doing suicide bombings.
Women.
There are women coming forward.
Yeah.
There are educated women, PhDs, who are coming forward and doing this.
वो तो कराची में हुआ था.
कराची में हुआ था.
Confucius Institute के पास ना.
जी, उसके बाद 1-2 और हुए. I think 2 से 3 महिलाएं बलोच की सामने आई and they said we will give our life. We have small kids, we have degrees, we have families, but we will sacrifice our life. अब जज्बा देखिए. तो ये प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है चाइना के लिए भी और पाकिस्तान के लिए भी. The Global Times, if I'm not wrong, a few months back wrote that Pakistan should give a free hand to the Chinese PLA so that we do airstrikes against Baloch, so that our planes, fighter jets can enter the Pakistani territory. Such is the kind of anger and frustration in the Chinese. And for a few days after the recent bombing and the suicide bombing, the Chinese were banned from entering Pakistan. China had asked Pakistan to ensure security, and until then we will not begin our projects, and this is not going to happen.
I don't think Pakistan can do that, can they?
I don't think so. I mean, as of now, I believe that Pakistan is a failed state. Pakistan, we of course had given a lot of importance for years and decades together, but I'm glad that after Pulwama, we have had a shift. We have had a paradigm shift towards Pakistan. We've ignored them. We've isolated them. I mean, अब देखिए ना फॉरेन पॉलिसी क्या है पाकिस्तान की. There is Maliha Lodi, who is the de facto spokesperson of Pakistan Army, who comes out and holds a picture from Ramallah or Palestine or Gaza and shows it as Kashmir. ये तो है. आप ओरिजिनल पिक्चर तो कश्मीर की ला नहीं सकते. आपको कश्मीरी तो आती नहीं. आप बताइए कौन पाकिस्तान में है जिसको कश्मीरी आती है या कश्मीरी लैंग्वेज पे कुछ.
I believe there are a few families in Muzaffarabad.
Few families.
वो बच्चे हैं जो.
वो बेचारे भी सोच रहे हैं कि यार हम वहीं रह गए होते तो हमारा जो है मुकद्दर थोड़ा डिफरेंट होता. आप देखिए ना क्या त्रासदी है. देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ फैमिलीज वेयर टेररिस्ट्स वेंट टू पाकिस्तान, ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर. दे केम बैक, दे मैरिड एंड टुक देयर वुमेन ऑल्सो देयर, एंड दिस इज हैपनिंग सिंस 90s. अभी हाल ही का किस्सा, आई थिंक 1-2 साल हुए होंगे, तो मेरे को एक मेजर साहब का फोन आया बांडीपुरा से. बोला कि मेरे पास आपके लिए बहुत ज़बरदस्त कहानी है, और ये है कि एक महिला आई है पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर के नेपाल के रास्ते से, और ये कह रही हैं कि इनका हस्बैंड था हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन में, और अभी एनकाउंटर में 7-8 महीने पहले उसकी मृत्यु हुई, और ये वहाँ पर फंसी हुई थी. पहले 3 महीने के लिए हिजबुल ने 20-30 हज़ार रुपये दिए, उसके बाद छोड़ दिया, फेंक दिया. और इन्होंने इंडियन एजेंसीज़ को और आर्मी को किसी के थ्रू कॉन्टैक्ट किया और बोला कि मुझे आना है, तो इनको नेपाल के रास्ते किसी तरीके से वापस ले आए. अब देखिए ये कहानी मेरे को ज़बरदस्त लगी. तो उन्होंने हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन की असली कहानी जो है पूरे वीडियो पे उस महिला ने बताई बांडीपुरा से. तो अब ये मेरे को चलाना था टेलीविज़न पे, तो मैंने मेजर साहब को बोला कि चला, बोला सर मेरे को तो अपने CEO साहब से परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी. सीओ साहब से पूछा, सीओ साहब ने बोला कि मेरे को तो अपने जीओसी से परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी। जीओसी से पूछा, कोर कमांडर से और स्ट्रैटकॉम से लेनी पड़ेगी। तो मैंने बोला बॉस मैं ये ब्यूरोक्रेटिक हर्डल में तो फंस नहीं सकता, आई रिस्पेक्ट एवरीबडी। मैंने वो चला दिया। और मेरा जो है जब भी नेशनल इंटरेस्ट में बात होती है और आर्मी की बात होती है और खासकर कश्मीर की बात होती है, देयर इज नो एक्सक्लूसिव, यू नो, आई इमीडिएटली गिव इट टू फ्रेंड्स इन CNN, रिपब्लिक, इंडिया टुडे, एवरीवन। मतलब चलाओ, इनफैक्ट मुझसे पहले चलाओ, मुझे कोई ये नहीं है, ANI बाद में। सो दिस बिकेम द ह्यूज स्टोरी। आई थिंक 21 या 22 की बात है। इट बिकेम अ ह्यूज स्टोरी एंड दैट मेजर साहब कॉल्ड मी एंड ही सेड कि सर आपने तो लंका लगा दी मेरी, अब मेरे को तो ऊपर से सवाल आएंगे। मैं नहीं आएंगे, मैंने कोर कमांडर को पहले मैसेज कर दिया है। और कोर कमांडर आपके पॉडकास्ट में आए थे, गौरव पांडे साहब, और पांडे साहब को मैंने बोला कि सर यू माइट बी अपसेट, there is a video on your desk for permission, I've already used it, and this is in national interest. He said no worries Aditya, go ahead, good job.
जनरल पांडे बोले if it's a national interest go ahead यार, परमिशन आती रहेगी।
तो ये बहुत ये था। लेकिन उसके बाद में जीओसी साहब से मिला तो उन्होंने बोला आप वही जर्नलिस्ट हैं,
वही आदित्य राज कौल है।
बट ऐसी है कहानियां। तो जब तक वो मेजर मुझे नहीं बताते तो ये कहानी कहाँ से बाहर आती। और ये ऑथेंटिक कहानी है। वो महिला को कोई टॉर्चर नहीं किया गया, कोई कुछ नहीं बताया गया, बेचारी वहां मर जाती, कोई पूछता नहीं पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर में, और यहाँ आई। आप सोचिए ऐसी कितनी महिलाएं होंगी। सेम गौरव, जब हम साथ में थे आई थिंक रिपब्लिक में, उस वक्त मैं कश्मीर गया, और कश्मीर में आपको इकवानी पता है, इकवानी की तरह बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं फॉर्मर टेररिस्ट जो 90s में एक्टिव थे, प्रिजन में रहे, सब कुछ रहा, फिर ट्रांसफॉर्म हो गए। और ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग कुफवारा में हु आर नाउ स्टॉन्चली प्रो इंडिया। मतलब एक गाजी बाबा तो था जिसको BSF और बाकी लोगों ने मारा, एक और गाजी बाबा था जो 6 फुट लंबा था। मतलब ऐसे करके मैंने उससे बात की, और ऐसे ही मेरे को 10-15 और लोग मिले कुफवारा में, और उन्होंने बोला कि यार हम करीबन 30,000 लोग हैं यहाँ पर, इमेजिन 30,000, और उसके बाद उनके परिवार मिला के कितने लाख होंगे। वी आर रेडी टू काउंटर हुरियत, we are ready to counter any kind of separatist sentiment in the Kashmir Valley, but गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हमें यूज ही नहीं कर रही। गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया यूज कर रही है इंजीनियर रशीद को। अब माई क्वेश्चन इज दैट हाउ लॉन्ग विल वी बैक द सेम काइंड ऑफ पीपल बाय कीपिंग अ गन ऑन देयर हेड, और उसी आइडियोलॉजी के इधर इधर उधर उधर आपको ऑर्गेनिक एक पॉलिटिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कश्मीर में लानी पड़ेगी। अब इंजीनियर रशीद क्या है, वो पाकिस्तान के नारे देते थे असेंबली में, आज़ादी के नारे देते थे, यहाँ पर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से ओथ लेते थे, वहाँ पाकिस्तान की बात करते थे और टॉक्स की बात करते थे। टेररिस्ट अटैक हुआ तो कभी सामने नहीं आए 2 मिनट साइलेंस के लिए या कॉन्डमनेशन के लिए। उसके बाद जब NIA ने उनको समन किया, आई थिंक 2 अगस्त को 2019 में, उन्होंने एक आर्मी जनरल को फ़ोन किया और बोला कि जनरल साहब मुझे ये क्वेश्चनिंग के लिए बुलाया, मुझे लग रहा है मुझे अरेस्ट करेंगे, तो प्लीज़ आप होम मिनिस्टर अमित शाह जी से बात कर लीजिए, मैं कुछ भी करने के लिए तैयार हूँ, आई एम रेडी टू डू एनीथिंग। ये रियलिटी है। ये जो बोलते हैं ना कि हम कश्मीर के लिए अपनी जान दे देंगे, ये कर देंगे, वो कर देंगे, ये कुछ पैसों के लिए कश्मीर का जो है पूरा मुकद्दर, पूरी किस्मत बदल देंगे। तो आर्मी के जनरल ने बोला कि भाई आई हैव नथिंग टू डू विद पॉलिटिक्स, यू माइट हैव बीन अ ओल्ड फ्रेंड एंड यू नो कम टू आर्मी पार्टीज और वेरेवर, बट नथिंग डूइंग, आई मीन यू डू स्पीक टू हुएवर यू वांट टू, मेरा कोई इसमें योगदान नहीं है। तो उसको अगले दिन अरेस्ट कर लिया जाता है और पिछले 5.5 साल वो जेल में रहे। अब मुझे नहीं पता व्हाट हैपेंड इनसाइड द प्रिजन, वाज देयर सम डील, वाज देयर समथिंग दैट हैपेंड, बट इट इज अनप्रेसिडेंटेड दैट इंजीनियर रशीद ने उमर अब्दुल्ला को हराया लोकसभा इलेक्शन में करीबन 2 लाख वोट से। हमने ये भी देखा कि उसके बाद उसको छोड़ दिया गया जस्ट बिफोर असेंबली इलेक्शंस, एंड द रिजल्ट वाज आउट इन ओपन कि इंजीनियर रशीद के पार्टी 50 सीटों में लड़ी और 1 सीट जीती। So Kashmiris are smart that way. They can understand what's happening. I think if Engineer Rashid had stayed in prison, I mean it's my own analysis, others are free to disagree. If he had remained in prison, 6 से 10 सीटें इंजीनियर रशीद की आती, and that sympathy would have been there.
Because the Kashmiris have realized that ये डील करके आया है।
ये डील करके आया है, कुछ ना कुछ तो behind the scenes हुआ है। और मुझे लग रहा है हमारे साइड भी कोई you know bright officer decided कि सर ये 2 लाख वोटों से जीत के आए हैं, तो अगली बारी जो है असेंबली में छोड़ देते हैं इसको, ये 10 लाख वोटों से जीत के आए,
10 लाख वोटों से जीत के आएगा,
उल्टा बढ़ गया। जो ये सोच रहे थे कि बीजेपी की सरकार पहली बार आएगी, हिंदू चीफ मिनिस्टर पहले होगा, उमर अब्दुल्ला अपना रोगन जोश गोश्ताबा रिश्ता बिरयानी खा रहे हैं आराम से, और 10 साल के बाद सरकार आई है।
चलिए, this is great. Acha, now where do you see this going? Because let us say there is a decision that we have to give statehood back to Jammu and Kashmir. It becomes a state, right? State banega, the police will report to the chief minister, and so will many of the agencies of the state, not the army, not even the CRPF or the BSF, but certainly the state police. Acha. One thing that you'll agree with me that corruption har jagah hai. Lekin from educational institutions to other places in the government in Kashmir, there is an institutionalized corruption in Kashmir. बहुत ज़्यादा है. ये इसका चाचा इसको फिट कर दिया, इतने पैसे. ये बहुत नहीं, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि बाकी इंडिया क्लीन है. इंडिया में होता है. कश्मीर में एक प्रो मैक्स लेवल पे चलता है. Now, if tomorrow, let's say J&K becomes a state, which has been promised by Mr. Amit Shah, फिर क्या होगा? Do you see them going back to the old days? आपको लगता है ऐसा हो सकता है?
गौरव, पहले आप मुझे ये बताएं ना कि स्टेट और यूनियन टेरिटरी में डिफरेंस कितना है?
नहीं, उनको तो लगता है कि बहुत है.
इट्स अ माइंडसेट डिफरेंस.
हाँ.
आप देखिए ना, जो रीजनल पार्टीज हैं जम्मू कश्मीर में, उनको एक कुछ शगुफा चाहिए, उनको कुछ ऐसा एक चीज़ चाहिए जिससे कश्मीरियों को मैनिपुलेट कर सकें. वो पहले जो है सेल्फ रूल बोलते थे, ऑटोनॉमी बोलते थे, सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन बोलते थे, अभी स्पेशल स्टेटस बोलते हैं जो रेजोल्यूशन आया नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस का. तो इनको कोई एक ऐसा
चूरन चाहिए,
रस्सी चाहिए, उससे वो रस्सी दिखा दिखा के कठपुतलियों की तरह कश्मीरियों को घुमाते रहेंगे. अब कश्मीरीज कभी कभी स्मार्ट हो सकते हैं, बट ये कश्मीर की जो पार्टीज हैं ये बेवकूफ़ बनाती रही हैं. आप देखिए, ये वही कश्मीरी हैं जो नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस को वोट दिए आज, लेकिन उमर अब्दुल्ला और बाकी लोग जब हाउस अरेस्ट में थे और सबको पकड़ा हुआ था, एक कश्मीरी नहीं आया प्रोटेस्ट करने. कोई प्रोटेस्ट देखा आपने? कोई धरना देखा? नॉर्मली तो यहाँ पर केजरीवाल अरेस्ट होते हैं तो हजारों बाहर आ जाते हैं. दैट्स द इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी. वहां पर तो कोई नहीं आया, और अब उमर अब्दुल्ला को ही वोट डाल रहे हैं. सो आई डोंट थिंक दैट देयर इज अ मेजर डिफरेंस. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दैट स्टेटहुड विल कम बैक. आई डोंट थिंक इन नियर फ्यूचर. परहैप्स इट विल टेक टाइम. बीजेपी तो चाहेगी कि बीजेपी के रूल में वो हो. बीजेपी उमर अब्दुल्ला को तो कोई क्रेडिट देना नहीं चाहेगी.
करेक्ट.
बट आई कैन ब्रेक वन थिंग टू यू, एंड दिस हैज बीन अश्योर्ड टू मी बाय द हाईएस्ट ऑफिस इन द कंट्री, that even if statehood is restored in Jammu and Kashmir, the state police will report to the MHA. Yes, there would be changes that need to be made in the Constitution of India. इसमें changes होंगी. जब इतनी changes 2019 से हो रही हैं, तो इसमें भी change होगी.
एक और सही.
और जम्मू कश्मीर में बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है. आप देखिए ना, जो सालों से नहीं हुआ. जम्मू कश्मीर के ऑफिसर्स आज दिल्ली में, गोवा में, नॉर्थ ईस्ट में सर्व कर रहे हैं, अलग अलग जगह पे. उनका जो अगमुट काडर है, उसमें जो जो स्टेट्स आते हैं वहां कर रहे हैं. दिस इज अनप्रेसिडेंटेड. आई मीन, जेन के ब्राइट ऑफिसर्स विल गेट टू सर्व अक्रॉस द कंट्री, एंड ऑफिसर्स फ्रॉम अक्रॉस द कंट्री, फ्रॉम दिल्ली, गोवा एंड नॉर्थ ईस्ट विल गो टू कश्मीर एंड आर गोइंग इन द लास्ट फ्यू ईयर्स. दैट्स अ पॉजिटिव ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन. मैं तो इनफैक्ट पुलिस के लेवल पे ही नहीं, मैं तो स्कूल के लेवल पे कहता हूँ. सद्भावना तो एक चीज हो गई, लेकिन आप स्कूल के लोगों को, कॉलेजेस में बच्चों को यहाँ लाइए और यहाँ से वहां लेके जाइए. बहुत बार सद्भावना वन वे ट्रैफिक होता है. वन वे, इट्स फ्रॉम नॉर्थ टू साउथ. आप साउथ के लोगों को वहां लेके जाइए, बोलिए कश्मीर क्या है, वो समझेंगे क्या होता है. तो मुझे लगता है दैट द स्टेट पुलिस स्ट्रेटेजिकली एंड कीपिंग नेशनल सिक्योरिटी as the top priority, the state police has to be with MHA. One of the biggest mistakes and blunders over the years was that the state police was with the chief minister. अब देखिए हुआ क्या ना, आपने स्टोन पेल्टर्स को रियायत दे दी. पीडीपी बीजेपी की सरकार आई, करेक्ट, स्टोन पेल्टर्स को छोड़ दिया
इन द थाउजेंड्स.
आपने स्टोन पेल्टर्स को छोड़ा ही नहीं, आपने जमाते इस्लामी के लोगों को सरकार में बिठा दिया, गवर्नमेंट की नौकरियां दी. आपने स्टोन पेल्टर्स को रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर बना दिया J&K बैंक का. कैन यू इमेजिन दैट? उसके बाद हमने कंटिन्यूअसली देखा कि कैसे प्रोवोकेशन हुई. मेजर आदित्य थे जिनके खिलाफ FIR काटा गया, और मेजर कंट्रोवर्सी हुई, वो केस सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक गया, एंड फाइनली ही गॉट जस्टिस. तो ये तो प्रोवोकेशन बार बार, चाहे वो उमर हो, चाहे वो महबूबा हो, चाहे वो कोई और पार्टी हो, ये तो प्रोवोकेशन करते रहे. आर्मी के खिलाफ, पुलिस के खिलाफ, CRPF के खिलाफ बार बार. तो अभी मुझे लगता है एक ऐसा कल्चर है जहां जम्मू कश्मीर में देयर इज ऑफ कोर्स द स्टेट कार्डर के लोग. अभी बहुत अच्छे इम्तियाज SSP श्रीनगर, किसने सोचा था शेया एक वहां पर आएंगे. बहुत लोग मुझसे नाराज होंगे, लेकिन सुन्नी कभी बर्दाश्त करेंगे ये शिया वहां पर आए. you know, they may display unity in Jammu and Kashmir, which is great, but there is discrimination also. What happens?
Oh, massive, yes.
आपको मैं एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. बलहामा करके एक गाँव है. मैं 370 के बाद वहाँ पर गया, तो वहाँ पर एक लॉयर, यंग लॉयर, मतलब मस्ट बी इन हिज 20s, उसके मैंने इंटरव्यू किया, एंड ही सेड कि मुझे 370 से कोई लेना देना नहीं है. मैं इसके प्रो भी नहीं हूँ, मैं इसके एंटी भी नहीं हूँ. मुझे तो लगता है इट्स हॉलो, एंड आई रिस्पेक्टेड हिज ओपिनियन. उसके बाद वो मेरे पास आया. ही सेड आई हैव अ रिक्वेस्ट. आई सेड व्हाट? ही सेड प्लीज डोंट टेलीकास्ट दिस इंटरव्यू. तो मैंने बोला क्यों, क्या हुआ? यू स्पोक वेरी ब्रेवली एंड पैशनेटली, और किसी के खिलाफ नहीं बोला आपने. ही सेड नहीं, ये वाला ओपिनियन भी यहाँ नहीं चलता ना. तो मैं क्या हूँ, मैं ये शिया गाँव है बलहामा, पुलवामा के पास, पामपोर के पास, और ये जो शिया गाँव है ये सुन्नी गाँव से घिरा हुआ है. आप लोग तो यहाँ से चले गए, कश्मीरी हिंदू. कश्मीरी हिंदुओं के बाद यहाँ कौन टारगेट है? शिया है. तो अभी तक नहीं हुआ, अब ऐसा होना चाहे तो आप ये इंटरव्यू टेलीकास्ट मत कीजिएगा. सो आई कुड सेंस द पेन एंड एंग्विश इन हिज वॉइस. सो आई कैन कंप्लीटली रिलेट विद इट. द शियाज में show larger Muslim unity, which is great, and there should be, as patriotic Indians, they should be united.
Yes.
But there is discrimination that happens.
Yes.
And, you know, Shia officers or Shia people are bright enough. They should get better responsibility. They are patriotic Indians in every way possible. So, मुझे लगता है कि ये statehood का शगुफा चलता रहेगा. अभी ये डिबेट अभी ये खत्म नहीं होने वाला. ऐसा नहीं है कि 6 महीने 1 साल में statehood आ गया. It will take some time. And it is unfortunate that the House, the Assembly, has been completely shattered in many ways. जो लोगों के हकूक के काम हैं, जो लोगों के डेवलपमेंट के लिए काम है, वो कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा. आप देख रहे हैं सजाद लोन आ रहे हैं, या इंजीनियर रशीद के भाई आ रहे हैं, या जो PDP के 3 MLAs हैं वो आ रहे हैं और लड़ रहे हैं इधर उधर. वहाँ बीजेपी गालियां दे रही हैं, यहाँ से ये दे रहे हैं. ओमर अब्दुल्ला बैठ के तमाशा देख रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं मैं सरकार में हूँ, मैं मेरे को कुछ भी लेना, मैं चीफ मिनिस्टर, तुम लोग लड़ो, तुम लोग कैरी ऑन. उसके बाद मार्शल आ रहे हैं और सबको बाहर निकाल रहे हैं, और एकदम फोर्सफुली वहाँ कुछ लोग तो इंजर्ड हो गए. तो इट्स लाइक अ नेटफ्लिक्स कॉमेडी सीरीज जो रोज हम यूट्यूब पे देखते हैं जी, और हंसते हैं कि भाई इस पे कि क्या बेड़ागर कर दिया.
अच्छा, लास्ट क्वेश्चन, आखिरी सवाल. This election in J&K was, at least Mehbooba Mufti was not expecting this kind of result. What do you see regarding her political future? Because she's very vociferous, she's very loud, she's हर समय ट्विटर पे ये वो दुनिया भर की चीजें बोलती रहती हैं. This time I think she was absolutely discarded, isn't it so?
देखिए, महबूबा मुफ्ती के बारे में तो मैं ट्वीट्स के बारे में ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं कह सकता, बिकॉज आई एम ब्लॉक्ड.
सेम हियर. So I am also blocked. Same boat here.
Elite circle ब्लॉक कर दिया जी पूरी तरीके से, और सालों पहले किया है. और महबूबा मुफ्ती के ही एक MLA साहब थे, मंत्री साहब थे, जिन्होंने मेरे खिलाफ डेफामेशन केस भी किया जब मैं रिपब्लिक में था. थैंकफुली द ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट in J&K gave a verdict in my favor, और we won that case in freedom of speech. कुछ हमने उनके खिलाफ नहीं किया था, बस स्टोरी कर रहे थे जो दस्तावेज हमको मिले थे. तो महबूबा मुफ्ती, I would have said, had a bright future because she is Mufti Muhammad Sayyid's daughter and he was a shrewd politician. But महबूबा मुफ्ती has failed in many ways. पहले तो वो भी अब डायनेस्टी पॉलिटिक्स के चक्कर में फंस गई, अपनी बेटी को अब आगे बढ़ा रही हैं. उनने तो इलेक्शन हार भी गई. वो
इल्तिजा, आई थिंक नाम है ना, इल्तिजा.
उनको तो कश्मीरी नहीं आती ठीक से. उनको पहले वो, मुझे लगता है, लेसन्स लेने पड़ेंगे. अगर वो चाहेंगे तो हम किसी कश्मीरी पंडित को ही लगा देंगे काम पे, थोड़ा कश्मीरी सिखाने के लिए, ताकि थोड़ा पॉलिटिकली ब्राइट फ्यूचर हो उनका. उसके बाद क्या है कि you know, this separatist kind of a narrative is not going to work always. अभी तो local वहाँ पर her image is tarnished completely because she is seen as BJP's team B. BJP के साथ सरकार तो बना ली, अब खामियाजा वो भुगत रही है आगे तक. तो मुझे नहीं लगता that she has very bright future, at least in the immediate future. वो अपना narrative still वैसा ही pro पाकिस्तान soft separatism वाला रख रही हैं. She has not realized the political maturity of the times. She has not matured over the last 5 years. वही same type of rhetoric जो है चल रहा है. अब खींचातानी चल रही है NC के साथ. NC रेजोल्यूशन लाएगा कि हम रेजोल्यूशन लाएंगे. NC रेजोल्यूशन लाया तो उससे पहले हम रेजोल्यूशन ले आए. आपको पता है कि आपका रेजोल्यूशन तो पास होने नहीं वाला. आपके पास 3 MLA हैं. आप देखिए, पिछली बार आपकी सरकार थी, अब 3 MLA रह गए हैं. 3 में से भी जो 2 MLA हैं कुछ ही वोटों से जीते हैं. बहुत ही, मतलब, तकदीर उनकी अच्छी थी कि वो जीत गए. तो आई थिंक पीडीपी नीड्स टू री इन्वेंट इट्स पॉलिटिक्स. और तभी मैं सिर्फ पीडीपी की बात नहीं करता, मैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की, बीजेपी की और बाकी लोगों की भी बात करता हूँ, मेन स्ट्रीम पार्टीज़ की. दैट इन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर यू नीड टू हैव एन ऑर्गेनिक सिस्टम. ये जो पुराना है ना एजेंसीज़ का ये चक्कर, ये नहीं चलेगा. आप कितना भी वहाँ पर ये चलाएं. दिस टाइम ऑल्सो आई थिंक एजेंसीज वुड हैव गॉट अ शॉकर कि ये हुआ गया, हमने तो प्रिडिक्ट कुछ और किया था और ये हो गया. तो आई थिंक लास्ट टाइम ऑल्सो पीडीपी का क्रिएशन भी कैसे हुआ, पीडीपी का क्रिएशन जो हुआ आज से 20-25 साल पहले, वो भी ऐसे ही हुआ. तो अब अपनी पार्टी आई और सजाद की पीपल्स कॉन्फ्रेंस कहाँ गए. अपनी पार्टी तो अल्ताफ बुखारी चला रहे थे इतना बड़ा, एक भी सीट नहीं जीते.
करेक्ट. आप
पीपल्स कॉन्फ्रेंस सजाद लोन भी कुछ ही सीटों से जीते, कुछ ही वोटों से जीते. उसके बाद जो वन ऑफ द टॉप मोस्ट शिया लीडर्स हैं इमरान अंसारी, वो हार गए बुरी तरीके से.
बेसिकली आप कह रहे हैं कि रेगिस्तान से खजूर का पेड़ लोगे तो कश्मीर में नहीं चलेगा, वो फल नहीं देगा.
बिल्कुल.
तो इट हैज टू बी ऑर्गेनिक.
इट हैज टू बी ऑर्गेनिक. इट मे टेक टाइम. ये बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. 370 आपने करके दिखाया. आप ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ला रहे हैं. लाल चौक पे तिरंगा, वहां पर झंडा है. आप हारी पर्वत फोर्ट पे चले जाइए, वहां तिरंगा झंडा है. तो चेंजेस तो आए हैं, माइंडसेट में भी चेंज है. मेनी यूथ इन कश्मीर टुडे बिलीव इन इंडिया, in India's progress, and they want to be seen as Indian rather than associate with a failed state like Pakistan. And Pakistan is also slowly realizing it. वहाँ पाकिस्तान आर्मी,
even Pakistanis don't want to be associated with a failed state like Pakistan.
Completely failed. Economically, security wise, यहाँ TTP और ये लोग रोज हमला कर रहे हैं.
अरे दंदनाते हुए घूमते हैं लोग.
आप देखिए ना, आज हम अभी पॉडकास्ट रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं, क्वेटा रेलवे स्टेशन पे बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट हुआ है, जहाँ करीबन 20 से 30 लोग हलाक हो गए और बहुत लोग इंजर्ड हैं. अब ये क्यों हो रहा है? अब ये इसलिए भी हो रहा है कि बलोच और पश्तून और बाकी लोग सब फ्रस्ट्रेटेड हैं. और ये मैंने बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग ट्रेंड देखा है कि कश्मीर में या जम्मू में, वहाँ पर जब आप आर्मी पे अटैक करते हैं, वहाँ पर एनकाउंटर्स होते हैं, वहाँ पर आप सिविलियंस को मारते हैं. आप देखिए ना, अभी हाल ही में हमने देखा कि जो विलेज डिफेंस गार्ड के लोग हैं, एक हिंदू और एक मुस्लिम, बेचारों को बुरी तरीके से मारा. सर पे मुंह पे गोली मारी है, उनका मुंह फंदा हुआ है, उनको किडनैप किया पहले, उनके बाद उनको मार दिया. तो वहाँ भी यही देख रहे हैं. अब पाकिस्तान में क्या है कि यहाँ पर 2 मरते हैं तो वहाँ पर 20 मरते हैं, यहाँ पर 3 मरते हैं, वहाँ पर 30 मरते हैं, लेकिन वहाँ न्यूज़ उतनी नहीं आती. पहले तो पाकिस्तान मीडिया को ऑलमोस्ट बैन किया हुआ है कि आप कुछ भी आर्मी के खिलाफ है, फ्रंटियर कोर के खिलाफ है, आप वो चलाएंगे नहीं. और इसके अलावा जो इंटरनेशनल मीडिया है वो नहीं दिखाता पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर में क्या हो रहा है. प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है, जलसे निकल रहे हैं, बलूचिस्तान में रोज अटैक हो रहे हैं, और बलूचिस्तान से भी ज्यादा खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में. आई वाज सरप्राइज्ड बिकॉज आई मॉनिटर इट एवरी डे. On an average, at least 2 police officers or army officers or jawans are dying in Pakistan every day. And dying not of heart attack, are being killed, are being hunted down. And this is the reality of Pakistan.
That is, I think, this strike rate is phenomenal only. You know, 1 or 2 dying every single day. Every day there are casualties. Morale must be in the boots.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
यूनिट में तो आती है ना डेड बॉडी. यूनिट में तो आती है.
आप देखिए बुरी तरीके से, मतलब मोराल खत्म है. वो कह रहे हैं भाई कौन है ये आसिम मुनीर, उसने तो लॉ ही चेंज कर दिया, वो तो इस टाइप का लॉ बना दिया आर्मी चीफ का कि आर्मी चीफ अपने डेथ तक आर्मी चीफ बनेगा. मतलब हमने पॉलिटिशियंस का देखा था कि वो चाहते हैं कि वो मरे भी उसी कुर्सी पर
ताउम्र.
आर्मी चीफ भी यही हो रहा है वहां पर,
5 साल प्लस 5 साल.
वो चाह रहे हैं कि
भाई पार्टी आसिम मुनीर.
हमने बाजवा का सोचा था, उससे पहले बाकियों का सोचा था. हमें क्या पता था आसिम मुनीर आएंगे, भाई साहब एक कुर्सी पे ही रहना है, इमरान खान अंदर
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कू हो गया वहां पे.
तो वही है, आर्मी बदलने नहीं वाली, कोई डेमोक्रेसी वहां पर आने नहीं वाली. उनका कश्मीर 1 पॉइंट एजेंडा है पाकिस्तान में. वो जो तकदीर है पाकिस्तानियों की, जब तक वो गटर में नहीं मिला देंगे पूरी तरीके से, इकोनॉमी को खत्म नहीं कर देंगे जो थोड़ी बहुत बची हुई है. वो क्या है ना, जब भी IMF लोन अप्रूव होता है तो सोचते पाकिस्तान की इकोनॉमी को कुछ होगा, तो आर्मी चीफ की इकोनॉमी को जो है आगे बढ़ जाती है.
There is a joke now that whenever they get a loan from IMF, no, the property prices in Dubai and London increase, no. कह रहे पाकिस्तान को मिला लोन, दुबई की प्रॉपर्टी महंगी हो गई.
Absolutely.
और सारा पैसा वहीं पे जा रहा है उनका.
तो ये है.
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग अस आदित्य. इट वाज सो वंडरफुल टॉकिंग टू यू. बड़ा मजा आया दोस्तों. हम आदित्य राज कौल के साथ थे. बड़े मुद्दों पे बात करी. वी स्पोक अबाउट कश्मीर, वी स्पोक अबाउट पाकिस्तान, a little bit about Afghanistan, China, and so many other things. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And I would like you to write in the comments what we can do better, how we can improve, who are the guests that we should get. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Aditya. And to all our viewers from the studios, Jai Hind.